So good day everyone, I am Izle and Gapa and I am here to report or discuss to you about using ICT integration frameworks in physical and health education learning plans. So I will be discussing a framework here. The conversational framework postulates a way of representing teaching and learning in terms of events. So there are 5 key teaching and learning of events in the framework, which are identified as: first, the acquisition; second, the discovery; dialogue; practice; and creation. So these 5 events are specific teaching actions or strategies, learning action or experience, related media form, examples of non-computer-based activity, and example of computer-based activity. So these are the this is also one of the way to explain how the teaching and learning works in ICT using ICT. So I will show you how it works. So this is a second explanation how the learning conversation between teacher and students also work. So let's start. So for the first event that we will be using is the acquisition. So for the first area, the teaching action or the strategy. So first things first, PE teachers will be introducing about the subject, physical education and health. So ito talaga yung common na talaga na sa first meeting pa lang nila, i-introduce na talaga ng teacher what about that subject. And then the learning action or experience of the student. So student will be listen. So ano talaga yan? Given na talaga na yung mga student will be listen or be attentive sa kanilang teacher while discussing about the subject. And in order for them to understand what about that subject, and in order for them to see what is the strategy that the teachers given on them. So the media form of this learning plan is narrative. Narrative because it tells some or show that learners something that what they can learn. So narrative siya kasi pinapakita dito kung ano yung dapat na matutunan ng mga estudyante at kung ano yung dapat nilang gawin sa subject na ito. And for the examples of non-computer based activity, so ika-compare lang natin dito yung non-computer based activity during face-to-face and during the pandemic na lang. So ganyan na lang. So for dati doon sa face-to-face. So, for our non-computer-based activity naman talaga tayo doon. So, ginagamitan talaga ng instructional materials or the syllabus o yung mga lesson plans na ginagawa ng mga teachers doon. Or books, kung ano yung dapat na gagamitin na books sa intended subject. So, for the computer-based activity, example nito is yung ginagamitan ngayon, the PowerPoint. Then teacher will go to YouTube to get some instructional materials doon. Then especially the Google Class, kung saan doon na nilalagay yung mga topic or at mga activities ng mga student ngayon. Then Facebook, yung mga pages na dapat gawin na intended lang din sa school purpose only. Then Messenger, mga GCs, then Google Meet kung saan tayo nagmi-meet ngayon, di ba? And VLE for the sa school, yung the virtual learning environment, kung doon din doon din nag-upload ng mga activities and mga presentations na dapat ipasa sa mga teachers. So for the next event is the discovery. So for teaching action or strategy, PE teacher finds relevant resources. So dito na sa start na magkukuha na yung mga teachers ng mga relevant resources na kailangan din nilang i-introduce sa kanilang student. which is in the physical education subject. Then, produce activities where their students will able to find out their skills and knowledge. So, when we say that physical and health education, so nakakaano dito, kumbaga dito na naka-incline yung mga skills and knowledge ng mga students. So, sa discovery, in the word discovery pa lang, so kumbaga yung teacher, yung strategy ng teacher dito is magfa-find sila ng way where the student, kumbaga, wait lang, kumbaga yung teacher is magfa-find ng way kung saan yung students is ma-i-inspired na makita din or ma-explore yung kanilang skills, or kung saan nila, kumbaga, ihahalongkatin ng mga teachers na dapat ito yung gawin nyo at ito yung matutunan nyo in order to find out your skills and knowledge about these specific subjects. So for the learning action or experience, during activities, students will assess their performance, and after the event, they will explore more after discovering new skills and knowledge. So, di ba doon pa lang sa teaching strategy ng teacher na mag-find sila ng resources na i-find out ng mga students yung kanilang skills and knowledge. So, yung learning action ng mga students doon is after na ma-find nila yung kanilang skills. So, i-assess nila yung sarili nila na, okay, so ito yung skills na dapat, ito yung skills na nararapat sa akin, ito yung knowledge na pwede kong ma-share. So, after that kind of mindset na kanilang na-experience, so they will explore more pa kasi they discover something. So students want more to discover pa kasi hindi pa dyan hindi pa, kumbaga umpisa pa lang yun ng kanilang discovery. So alam nilang meron pa silang ibibigay sa kanilang teacher and ma-share din sa kanilang teacher and also to their classmates. So, the media form of this event is interactive. Interactive because media respond in a limited way to what the learner does. So, interactive lang siya kasi kumbaga, while the student discovering is kumbaga limited lang yung ibibigay ng media sa kanila. Kumbaga, students discovery is hindi naman sila nagre-rely na lang sa internet, sa ganyan. Kumbaga, meron din sila yung, kumbaga, to what the learner does. Yung sabi dyan na, nasa learner na lang yung kanilang, kumbaga, nasa learner pa ang explanation or yung way nila ng pag-discover. So, hindi pa, limited pa lang yung interaction sa media form. Kasi minsan na, kumbaga, magre-research na sila about this kind na discover na sa sarili nila pero hindi nila nire-rely doon lahat ng discovery nila kasi meron din silang discovery na kanila lang. Kumbaga, ina-assess pa nila yung sarili nila. So, interactive lang siya na in a limited way lang ang naibibigay ng internet sa kanila. So, for the example of non-computer based activity, first is the libraries, researches, and philosophy. So, common na naman talaga to na when we are discovering some skills and knowledge. So, libraries talaga kasi doon nandun na lahat yung books and some researches na iiwan doon na kumaga na research ng previous batches, yung ganun, yung parang resources na lang din nila na makokonect nila sa kanilang discoveries. And philosophies, yes. Some of the philosophies naman ay nagbibigay din ng answer sa mga discoveries ng students. And for example of the computer-based activity, yes, syempre naman the web resources, then the multimedia resources, and cited literature. So, kumbaga, ngayong new learning style, yan na yung kumbaga yan na yung bagong format where the students na makakakita ng kanilang answer sa discovery nila. which is the web resources, the multimedia resources, and cited literatures ng other forms of researches na hindi nila makikita sa library, which is nasa internet na. So next event is the dialogue. So for teaching action or strategy, engaging students to various activities that lead them to practice their communication skills like reporting and performance tasks. So, ito na yung kumbaga, makikita din talaga natin ito sa mga strategies ng teachers or the educators ng physical education na need din talaga na ma-practice ang communication skills ng learners. Which is, dito din nila, kumbaga ito yung way na pagpapractice nila in reporting and performance tasks. So, kumbaga makikita din ng mga ma-assess ng mga teachers ang students nila on how they communicate to the others in using reporting and some performance tasks na dapat gawin ng mga students nila. So, this is a good strategy talaga. Kumbaga, dito na show o makikita ng teachers kung ano talaga yung dapat nilang gawin sa student nila in order to practice and enhance their communication skills. So the learning action or experience of the students naman dito is that the students will able to collaborate with the others, sharing their thoughts and reflect their performance. So ito na yung kumbaga ito na yung feedback ng mga kumbaga ito na yung dito na makikita ng mga teacher yung feedback or yung development ng students kasi while they are reporting and having a performance task, so dito na pwede na ang students is pwede na nilang kumbaga yung mga thoughts nila is pwede na lang i-collaborate to the others kasi meron na silang ma-share for example the group reporting, so they can share a thought about that topic para ma-explain and mapakita nila or ma-demonstrate nila sa sa teacher nila and sa classmate nila na maayos. And di ka kumbaga dito na nila ma-assess yung sarili nila, kumbaga mara-reflect yung tama ba yung ginawa ko, yung kumbaga meron silang reflection sa kanilang sarili na yung tama ba yung ginawa nila and okay ba yung communication skills na ibinigay nila sa kanilang teachers and towards their classmates. So, for the media form naman, it is a communicative. So, when we say communicative, so dito na talaga yung kumbaga, dialogue siya Kumbaga, the communication skills talaga yung dito, yung pinag-uusapan. So, communicative siya because exchanging ideas with others. So, yun yung yung sinabi ko na learners will able to exchange some ideas and share their own thoughts sa kanilang classmates, especially to their teacher, kung ano yung mga na-learn nila and yung mga knowledge na stock nila. After that, assessment in reporting and performance task kasi makaka-reflect talaga dyan yung mga students. So, for the example of the non-computer based activity while doing this is seminars, conference, programs, demo teaching, and tutorials. So, yes, it is true. Kasi, sa mga seminars din kami naman nagsistart kasi some of the seminars naman, di ba, halos lahat na na-attend ng mga student is merong ba after the topic, merong asking question. So, yung mga students is mag-interact doon sa question ng nagpa-facilitate ng seminar. So, the interaction of the student between the other people is merong kumbaga doon nakukuha yung idea ng mga students na mag-interact more pa. And yung communication skills nila is madadevelop. And also the conference, same lang din naman doon. Then programs and demo teaching, especially the demo teaching kasi mapapractice talaga yung communication skills ng students dito. Kasi they are nagde-demonstrate sila dito Kumbaga, need nila na ma-enhance ang kanilang speaking and kumbaga communication skills talaga. So, for the example of the computer-based activity, online conference, seminars, forums, and blogs. So, it's same lang talaga kasi ang difference lang is kumbaga sa sa computer lang i-interact. But it's also a good, good practice din naman kasi kahit na hindi pa nag-aano yung face-to-face, at least they're practicing pa naman. Kumbaga, hindi mawawala yung ways na i-enhance yung communication skills na isang students. So, for the fourth event is the practice. So, the teaching action or strategy. So, the teacher will introduce a model. So, when we say a model, kumbaga, dito na kumbaga, it's a level kasi talaga start sa introducing, then sa discovery, hanggang sa communicating to others, and practice na. Kasi dito na kumbaga, they introduce a model, kumbaga dito na talaga yung fully assessment ng ang teacher. For example, the demo teaching. So, ipapagawa ng teacher sa kanila yung demo teaching. So, before that, meron munang ibibigay ng mga instructional videos or mga example videos yung teachers on how to do a proper demo teaching. So, the learner action or the experience, learner will able to practice their fields and execute those fundamental forms of physical education and health. So, ito na. Yung student ng physical education is dito na nila, kumbaga, pag-aaralan kung paano i-execute ng maayos yung mga specific fundamental forms of physical education. For example, sa for example, sa folk dance. So, i-demonstrate ng students on what is the fundamental forms of the folk dance or yung mga basic form of folk dance na dapat munang matutunan before yung mga yung mga hard na mga steps. So, kumbaga step by step lang muna dito. Kumbaga, it is a practice muna na mag-start muna sa basics hanggang makaabot na doon sa high level na ng performance. So, this kind of event, dito na masusukat yung mga natutunan ng mga learners before. Dito na makikita, kumbaga, yung fully na yung feedback, yung kumbaga yung kanilang development on how they engage on that kind of situation. Kasi sa first pa lang na-engage na sila sa discovery pa lang, sa dialogue pa lang. So, napapractice na, na-enhance na. So, dito sa practice, dito na kumbaga maipakita nila yung kanilang fully na natutunan at yung kanilang yung improvement nila sa sarili nila as a learners and as a future physical education teacher na. So, yung dito, yung media form is adaptive. So, the adaptive is a feedback. So, kumbaga, kung ano yung natutunan nila before, na-adapt na nila hanggang ngayon. Kumbaga, yung adaptation nila is nag-improve. So, yun yung feedback doon. Na yung before pa na topic nila, hanggang yung mga process nila in teaching, learning, kumbaga, na-adapt na nila. And yung improvement ng adaptation nila is tumataas. So, yun dito na nila ilalabas lahat ng kanilang natutunan. So, the example of non-computer based activity here is the laboratories and performance task. So, dito na nila kumbaga itong laboratories and performance task is ito na yung assessment ng kanilang overall performance doon sa kanilang demo teaching or doon sa mga feedback na ibibigay nila to demo teaching. So, the example of computer-based activity naman dito is the tutorial programs, demo teaching, and video presentation. So as dito naman sa situation natin, kumbaga ngayon, is, gagawin pa rin natin itong laboratories na to, pero through online. So, we can do it naman kasi meron naman tayong kumbaga yung technology naman sa cellphone. So, we can do a video demo teaching doon. Then, video presentation about the subject na papagawa ng demo teaching kumbaga, we can we can enhance our communication skills dito through through video. Kasi may enhance din naman kasi we are talking to ourselves and we are seeing ourselves kung paano tayo nagto-talk at paano natin maibabahagi yung learnings natin. Kasi kumbaga modern na tayo ngayon. So, we can also learn about ICT. We can use it to our learnings and education. So for the last event is the creation. So the teaching action or strategy here is the teacher will facilitate their students in terms of producing a demonstration, instructional video or material. So ito na, kumbaga dito na yung yung product na gagawin ng mga students. Kumbaga ipapagawa na sa kanila yung final product ng kanilang, kumbaga kung ano yung na-learn nila in the first, second, third year nila as a physical education students hanggang dito na, magpuproduce na sila ng kanilang kumbaga instructional video or demonstration na kumbaga sila na magtuturo. So yung teacher dito is mag-guide na sa kanila on how to do it properly. So the learning action or experience here is students will articulate their learning, synthesize their skills and knowledge, and make use of their practice communication skills. So yun na, kumbaga kung ano yung na-learn nila before, yun na, gagamitin na nila dito. Yung kumbaga yung improvement nila is their product na makagawa ng kanilang own demonstration as a future physical education teacher. So, the media form here is productive. So, ano na to? Kumbaga, explainable na to siya na, yes, it is productive because it is a learner control na talaga. Kasi nasa kanila na yun. It's, kumbaga, nasa learner na yung control on how they, kumbaga, how they show their knowledge and their learnings about what they learned before and after. So the example of non-computer based activity here is the essay, paperworks, or oral presentation, performance presentation. So yun, dito na nila ipapakita yung mga yung mga product na sa essay, they will write their script there. Then after that, they will produce a performance or a video presentation or a final presentation face-to-face or in online. So for the example of the base or the example so for the example of computer-based activity here is the video documentaries, audio recordings, and Google Forms. So yun na rin yun, yung kumbaga ito na rin yung ginagamit ngayon na kahit sa final performance is video documentation, audio recordings, and Google Forms. So kasi ito na kumbaga alternative na to for online class. So makakagawa din sila dito ng final output nila. But it's more kumbaga it's more creative lang kasi dito kasi marami silang magagawa at mailalagay. Compare sa sa non-computer based kasi kailangan mo talaga show yung sarili mo and kumbaga doon mo na lang ibabawiin sa iyong communication skill on how you do a creative way of speaking in front of your teacher and classmates. So, Laurilard's conversational framework described as a continuing iterative dialogue between teacher and student, which reveals the participant conception and the variation between them. So, it's true talaga na it's a continuing iterative dialogue kasi kumbaga continuous lang yung conversational or the conversation between the student and teacher hanggang sa makatuto yung student at hanggang makashare sila ng knowledge nila through their teachers. And the conversational model highlights dialogue as the key to academic learning. So that would be all, and that would be the concept of conversational framework of Laurilard's Framework 2002. Thank you.